Hi, everybody. Joe Chaffee here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, we've got some winter weather advisories in parts of the Northeast. We've got flood watches for heavy rain across the deep South. And we'll be talking about the gloom and doom weather pattern that we're in, probably right at least through the first part of Friday. So make sure you mark it down. The Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We still have winter weather advisories up for northern Pennsylvania, parts of northwest New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, up into Vermont, and just about all of New York State, really, except for New York City, Long Island, and southern portions of Westchester County. From what we're seeing in terms of observations today, elevation is important, especially in the southern areas of this winter weather advisory. So if you're above, say, 750 feet, in some cases over 1,000 feet, you're getting freezing rain and also some snow in the mix. As you go lower in elevation, it's less of a problem as temperatures have warmed up above freezing. We still have some winter weather advisories across parts of southern Michigan, southern Wisconsin, back into parts of Iowa and northern Missouri, some residual moisture and temperatures below freezing, causing some problems there. Uh, Flood watches from East Texas up to northern Alabama. And this area here is going to see significant rains, already has started to see significant rains, and we'll see some more as Gulf moisture continues to just pour in from the southwest to the northeast. And you can also see a lot of clouds all the way up into New England, all the way back west to the plains, a sliver of clearing in the central Rockies. And then you get into more clouds as you go further west. And we've got another arm of heavy precipitation that is approaching the west coast. So here's the latest radar. Most of the precipitation is arcing north and west of the coast and north and east of the coast. So you see it here in southeast New England, across Connecticut and Massachusetts through upstate New York. There's some heavier precip as of 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, moving across northern Pennsylvania, extending back into Michigan. We've got some light rain showers from southeast Virginia down to northern Florida, and then we get into this heavier rain as the next impulse comes out of the southern plains and heads to the northeast across Arkansas, East Texas, and northwest Louisiana. And that's going to be expanding with time. Not a whole lot happening at the moment out in the western part of the United States. The Storm Prediction Center today has a marginal risk of severe weather along the coastal bend of Texas to the northeast into southwest Louisiana, and that also comes with a 2% tornado risk. As we look to tomorrow, we see marginal risk again from the coastal bend of Texas through much of Louisiana and the southern half of Mississippi, and just kind of crossing the line into southwest Alabama. And on day three, and this is Thursday into Friday, a small area of marginal risk southeast Louisiana east to the Florida Panhandle. WPC's 7 day rainfall forecast. This is on top of rain that's already fallen. That orange area indicates 5 to 7 inches of rain from southeast Texas, northeastward through Louisiana into Mississippi. There are already a few flood warnings that are up because of rivers that have been rising. And of course, we have those flood watches we mentioned earlier. Heavy rains of several inches or more extend up to northern Georgia and the western part of the Carolinas, also up into Kentucky and even parts of West Virginia. In the Northeast, over the next 7 days, it's an inch and a half to as much as 2 inches of rainfall, but that's going to be spread out because it's several weather systems that are moving along. And up in the Pacific Northwest into Northern California, several to many inches over the next 7 days. And as far as snowfall is concerned, and there's probably going to be a little bit of snowfall going on tonight, and you can see it here on the map. There are just some pockets where there's a probability of at least 2 inches, where it's over 50%, and that's in parts of Vermont down into northwest Massachusetts, and also in a small portion of New York State, in and around the Albany area on north and eastward up toward Glens Falls. And then you see an area of higher probability of at least two on the Canadian side of Lake Erie, not too far from Toronto. Toronto looks like it might be sitting in this, and also in parts of east central Michigan. And out in the west, where we have this precip coming into the west, we have areas of 50 to 60% probability for at least two, a little bit higher up in the Cascades, but it's not really anything to write home about as far as snowfall is concerned. In fact, when we raise the probability of at least eight, maybe just that little small dot there up in Washington State, where there's a 40 to 50% chance that you could see 8 inches of snow. So we continue to be in this pattern here of wave of low pressure after wave of low pressure that is moving out of the Gulf, coming across the south and out of the Gulf of Mexico and Texas and running to the northeast. While this is going on, we're getting cold highs that are building into southeastern Canada and New England, but those cold highs are not holding. They're going out because we don't have any blocking at the moment. So tonight, we see some snow in parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York State, some freezing rain on the southwest end of that. There's some spotty light rain back through Pennsylvania and Ohio. Heavy rains breaking out in northeast Texas, northwest Louisiana into Arkansas. That's the next wave that will be moving on through. So as the first one moves out of the northeast, the second one starts to bring rain Wednesday night into Thursday. And then we're kind of in that stream as yet another ripple of low pressure comes out with more rain later Thursday night into early Friday. Then I think we might see some improvement. And by the way, while all this is going on, temperatures are slowly moving upward as the Arctic air mass of the weekend is long gone, obviously, and there's no real cold air anywhere really in the United States. So we'll probably see some rather mild temperatures on Friday. If we can break out into a little bit of sun, we could see readings well up into the 50s in some places. And I think the decent weather lasts into Saturday, although I think it'll be a little bit cooler as another high goes by to our north. Then we have yet another system. This one's a stronger one that comes out of the southern plains. The primary low looks to go into Kentucky. There'll probably be some kind of secondary low that develops off the coast of Delaware. Again, another high comes down to the southeast. And the only way that this is going to be snow for areas further south of, say, New York, well, let's say just that it's going to be snow right along the immediate coast, is if it times perfectly with that high to the north, and if that high to the north is strong enough to suppress the slow further south. We've seen models kind of go back and forth on this. But in a situation like this, it has to be an almost perfect setup. And I can tell you that I would say 95% of the time that just doesn't happen. So this might be a sizable snow event for the interior areas of the Northeast come Sunday night and Monday, but I'm thinking it'll probably be mostly rain at this point along the coast. So all of these weather issues that we have, and they are numerous. We will discuss them in great detail tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, and that's at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tonight.